Willow Creek, Vermont, woke up the way it always did in early October, slowly, politely, and with a faint smell of wood smoke drifting through the air. The town sat in a shallow valley surrounded by maple trees already flirting with red and gold, their leaves tapping lightly against windows like curious neighbors. Houses leaned toward one another in quiet solidarity. White clapboard colonials, saltbox homes with steep roofs, a few modern renovations that tried not to stand out too much. The morning air was crisp enough to justify flannel but forgiving enough to leave jackets unzipped. Inside a pale green Cape Cod-style house on Linden Street, Andrew Coleman, 41, graphic designer turned reluctantly self-employed consultant, stood barefoot in his kitchen staring at his toaster like it had personally betrayed him. Smoke curled upward. Not aggressively. Not dramatically. Just enough to feel insulting. Andrew leaned closer, waving his hand uselessly. The toaster clicked again, stubbornly cheerful, and popped up 2 slices of toast that had crossed firmly into the category of overachieved. Burned. Blackened at the edges. Charcoal adjacent. Andrew sighed. This is why people eat cereal, he muttered. The kitchen reflected Andrew's life in subtle ways. Clean, but not minimalist. Mugs collected from trips he'd actually enjoyed. A corkboard cluttered with overdue reminders and optimistic ideas. A dining table scarred from years of casual use. The radio on the counter played NPR softly, someone discussing local zoning issues with the seriousness of international diplomacy. Andrew scraped at one slice with a butter knife. Black flakes fell like ash. Nope. He checked the time. 8:17 a.m. He was supposed to be at the community co-working space by 9 to meet a potential client, someone local, someone who'd heard good things. Which in a town like Willow Creek meant exactly 3 people had said his name out loud. Andrew dropped the toast into the trash and immediately regretted it. Still edible, he said defensively, to no one. He reached for more bread. The second attempt went worse. The smoke alarm chirped, not fully screaming yet, just clearing its throat. Andrew opened a window, fanning the air with a dish towel. Outside, he could hear footsteps, voices, a dog barking. Life was happening successfully everywhere except his kitchen. On the third attempt, Andrew got distracted scrolling through emails. The toast burned again. This time, Andrew laughed. Not because it was funny, but because sometimes laughing was cheaper than therapy. He leaned against the counter, hands on hips, staring at the latest failure. Breakfast had always been Andrew's quiet ritual. Not fancy, just toast, butter, maybe eggs if he felt ambitious. A small moment of control before the day made requests. And now, even that was rebelling. Fine, he said, we'll improvise. He rummaged through the fridge like a man on a cooking show with no budget. Jam, honey, leftover roasted apples from last night, cheddar cheese, peanut butter, a jar of cinnamon he wasn't sure how old it was. Andrew paused. An idea flickered. He salvaged the least burned slice, trimmed the edges, layered peanut butter, apples, honey, and a sprinkle of cinnamon. He stared at it skeptically. Well, he said, this is either creative or desperate. He took a bite. It was good. Not polite good. Unexpectedly good. Andrew chewed slowly, surprised. The bitterness of the toast balanced the sweetness. The crunch worked. The whole thing felt intentional, like something you'd pay too much for at a cafe with exposed brick. Andrew laughed again, this time for real. He packed the rest of the apples into a container, grabbed his jacket, and headed out, toaster drama behind him. Outside, Willow Creek was fully awake. Neighbors waved. Kids waited for the school bus. Leaves crunched underfoot. Andrew locked his door and walked down Linden Street feeling oddly victorious, like he'd outsmarted the morning. He didn't know it yet, but the toast had started something. The co-working space sat above a former hardware store downtown, the kind of building that smelled faintly of coffee and history. Andrew climbed the stairs, still chewing the last bite of his improvised breakfast, feeling lighter than expected. His meeting went well, not spectacular, just human. Honest. The client liked his ideas. Andrew liked that he didn't feel rushed. Later that morning, he found himself telling Marianne Fowler, the space manager, about the toast. You turned a mistake into a recipe, she said. That tracks. Word traveled fast in Willow Creek. By the next Saturday, Andrew was invited to the Fall Community Breakfast, a monthly event held in the church basement that doubled as the town's unofficial brainstorming hub. Long tables, coffee urns, kids weaving between chairs. Andrew arrived carrying a tray. He'd recreated the toast, improved it, actually. Different breads, savory versions, sweet ones, labels handwritten on index cards. People hesitated at first. Burned toast didn't sound appealing. Then they tasted it. Why does this work? I don't hate this. Is this intentional? Kids loved it. Adults laughed. Someone suggested he open a pop-up. Andrew waved it off, embarrassed but pleased. Over the following weeks, Andrew noticed something else changing. When projects stalled, he improvised instead of freezing. When plans shifted, he adapted. When mornings went wrong, he stopped assuming the whole day would follow. The toast became shorthand, a joke, a reminder. Pulling an Andrew today, someone said when they recovered from a small failure. One quiet Sunday, Andrew stood at his counter again. The toaster burned the bread. Andrew didn't sigh. He smiled. Because now, he knew better. Some mornings don't go as planned, but they still feed you. And sometimes, creativity isn't inspiration. It's recovery.
Daily happiness and motivation is hitting in. Like and subscribe.